Hello, I'm Ann Michaels, and I thought I would just share with you what I presented to the village board. Um, Spent about 15 minutes just introducing Green Pastures Living and talking about the North Main property, as well as our ideas to propose and to consider as we go together on the proposal of the property. So just to begin with, Green Pastures Living, I'm Ann Michaels, the founder. I'm an executive director. And Green Pastures Living is just a local nonprofit affordable housing organization that's mission is to provide affordable housing for seniors who wish to remain living independently and in community. And so I'd like you to consider for a moment recalling a loved one, maybe a family member or someone that's aging, and they're just really struggling. They're sitting at their kitchen table, like I am right now, with their hands in their head and just don't know what to do and don't know where to go, because the house that they lived in is just not suitable for their aging process. Either the maintenance is too much or the stairs are too much, and they just can't stay where they're at. And for many Oregon residents, about half that fits kind of our target market of the middle income, middle class senior citizen who just doesn't have any housing because it doesn't exist. And this is kind of our mission to really fulfill housing um, for our residents who want to stay living in this community. So it's people who are essentially the retired workforce who have worked hard and saved their money, which disqualifies them for current low income housing, but it's out of the reach of what is currently being built in large suburban complexes. Just as I noted, this is a survey of the town and village of Oregon, as well as another community we're working with. And, we base our feasibility on what people make. And this is over 65 residents, age 65, and almost half of the income bracket is the people we desire to serve. And it was a same story for my own father. When he needed senior housing, there just wasn't a place for him in small town rural Wisconsin. So he had to move out of his county and in less than 2 years spend most of his life savings, unfortunately. And if you quickly note, the middle income is a very growing segment that we plan to serve. And it's why I created Green Pastures Living, to fulfill the needs that are just not being met for people who want to have a familiar location, housing that's practical, and a green and growing environment within the community they've always been engaged in, so that they can remain rooted in rural living. And to quote the NIC, which is the founder, Bob Kramer, says this middle income seniors kind of has no one to advocate for them. So Green Pastures Living is taking up that torch to really be that housing that they need, because the developers and investors are just not building to them. So I ask you, should they be forced to leave? Should they leave the community they've always been engaged in? No. And that's why we've really joined the conversation this summer, as the village has proposed these ideas. And just note that this is just the first draft of what is currently being zoned, and just an illustration of how we could fit some small scale duplexes in the North Main property. And so I was just going to discuss those ideas, as well as some of the recommendations that came along with this process. I'm going to move me over here so you can read them. Just wanted to honor the results from the community, as well as our leaders who went through this survey result. And it's nothing official. We're still awaiting the official request for proposal. but just want to join the conversation so you understand kind of our initial ideas and ways that we can meet the community's needs and hear their voices. And kind of there's 5 things that came out of the survey result. And these are just some of them, that we could be the nonprofit developer locally to creatively figure out the solutions that our community needs in this property by doing a public-private venture. We would love to have park space as well as housing on this property. A great idea is to call it People's Park, not only to have our residents enjoy the green space, the great big oaks, but also those in having walking paths through that property. And maybe even have like a bike repair spot in honor of the many years that on that property, Bikes of Africa was on there, and just a great place for people biking downtown to stop if they need to fill up air or fix a part of their bike and carry on. So we're just willing to work with a lot of different organizations, maybe even the new public art committee, to really make this park a people's park. And not so glamorous, but also addressing the stormwater concerns. Briefly, I'd mentioned just the survey from the county of the soils, and it did come back well drained. And looking just briefly at this scattering of the properties, you'll see that having a smaller footprint gives them better drainage, so they don't need retention ponds or anything. But I'm all for having maybe rain gardens or rain barrels to water like community gardens. I think that would be a great idea. And also for that, probably not having basements helps keep the root systems intact of those big trees, as well as decreasing the fall risk and having stairs within housing units for seniors. And then just having affordable housing. Like we said, there just isn't anything out there for the majority of our seniors that have a retired workforce, middle class, and that, we are bound by the IRS as a nonprofit builder to follow those parameters and set our prices as such. As well as, not making big complexes, but things that are to fit the neighborhood. In the back end, there could be 1-story houses that fit near the Johnson Street entrance, and then maybe have a 2-story option on North Main to fit with the 2 stories that are alongside of that. And just one of the last concerns that the community had is the village has invested over $1 million into this property and not getting anything back. So we feel the best opportunity is to collaborate with them to find a great agreement where they would lease the land to us as we develop it. Therefore, they receive payments to pay down that debt, as well as increase the investment value on that property. So it's a win-win for both. And just briefly, that it would be a basic duplex, easy to get around, 0 entry, affordable. And, this is our pilot project. So get something off the ground and then reinvest any money that we do make in the property to, make more affordable housing and build on that momentum and our equity as well. So I ask you, if you're committed to Oregon and you understand the need for senior housing, would you consider supporting our mission to retain our residents here in Oregon, providing them an affordable home to stay in our community? In closing, we just want to provide our mission is simple, safe senior housing in rural communities, ensuring they can remain rooted in familiar setting with a trusted guidance and provision through the aging process. Thank you for your time.